Good evening. Welcome to the January 13th, 2014 first board meeting of the year. The Boy Scouts are here, and they're going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would, gentlemen, start when you are ready to start, whatever that takes.
Color guard, please advance. Color guard, halt. Please repeat with me the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Color guard, please post the colors. Color guard, please return to rank. Yeah, these may be seated.
Moving down the agenda, board affirmation statement. Mr. Felice.
Our mission is to ensure that all students are prepared for college and a successful life, academically, socially, and emotionally, as well as equipped with the necessary tools to have options and make decisions about their long-term goals. This will be accomplished by believing and working towards all students learning through rigorous curricula and meaningful, effective instruction, consequently demonstrating mastery on high-quality assessments, with all stakeholders being held accountable throughout the process.
Thank you. Agenda revisions. Before we get to that, I would like to amend the agenda to move forward with the Eagle Scout presentation immediately following the approval of the amended agenda. If I could have a motion to do such.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it. Dr. Mitchum, if you would, please.
Yes, Mr. President, I would like to ask that the board approve the agenda as presented.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion on the agenda? Roll call. Roll call vote, please.
Member Venegas,
Yes.
Member Campbell,
Yes.
Member Sikora,
Yes.
Member Felice,
Yes.
Secretary Hansen,
Yes.
Vice President Gugis.
Yes.
President Quigley.
Yes. With that in mind, Eagle Scout presentation? That's me. All right. I'll just do it from down there. It's a lot easier. Joined up here with Principal White, and I will let you begin with Mr. Lathrop, and we'll go from there.
Good evening, Board of Education, senior leadership, and community members. It's my pleasure to recognize Matthew Lathrop for earning the badge of Eagle Scout. It's not easy to do that. There's a 5-step process in which they earn 21 badges over that 5-step process. The first step is their tenderfoot, and then they earn the 2nd class scout, then the 1st class scout, star, and then life. Then they conduct a project. That project that Matt conducted was for the First Presbyterian Church of DuPage. The project was drainage. He corrected the drainage. He planted shrubs and flowers for them. Matthew is a senior in the top 12 in his class at Bolingbrook High School. He was in the band and he played the clarinet. Matthew intends to join either Northern Illinois University or Illinois State University, and he wants to major in computer science. Matt has a few words that he'd like to share with you about the drainage project that he conducted. Matthew?
Please do.
Hello, as all of you know, I'm Matt. For my Eagle project, I corrected a drainage problem with the church. When we first got into it, we didn't quite know what the drainage problem was. So what we first thought it was that there were weeds blocking the drainage pipes so they wouldn't drain properly. And as we went through the project, we found out that the rain gutters on the roofs actually vented straight out into the ground right there. So instead of having it vent out there, we dug a hole and we rerouted the drainage into the drain itself. So, and then afterwards we planted flowers around the area, and which are swamp milkweeds, which are good with a moist area, and they attract natural butterflies to the area. So it should become a butterfly haven in the next few years. And the drainage problem was fixed, and it should become a nice place for the community to enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're not going to get off that easy. Before we get started here, I got to ask you about the penguin patch. I am a personal fan of the penguin and the puffin. As a matter of fact, I have a stuffed puffin at home. Don't ask. So what's with the penguin patch?
The penguin patch, I was part of the Penguin Patrol when I was in Troop 75, and that's to signify what patrol I'm in.
I like the penguin patrol. If he ever outgrows that shirt. I have a resolution I would like to present to you, and if you will see Mr. Randa, we will get you something to slide this into at some point, but because we're signing it this evening. It states, whereas Eagle Scout is the highest rank attainable by the Boy Scouts of America, and whereas more than 2 million young men have attained the rank of Eagle Scout since the first Eagle Scout medal was awarded more than 100 years ago, and whereas it takes a true leader to attain the rank of Eagle Scout, and whereas Matthew Lathrop has been active in scouting since he was in first grade, and whereas Matthew has performed an outstanding public service by helping the First Presbyterian Church of DuPage with the installation of a drainage and landscaping project, and whereas Matthew Lathrop is a senior at Bolingbrook High School, has been a member of the Bolingbrook High School marching band, whereas Matthew Lathrop formally became an Eagle Scout during a ceremony on February 22nd, you're correct, Larry, I am incorrect, will formally become an Eagle Scout during a ceremony on February 22nd, 2014. Now, therefore, be it resolved on this day, 13th of January, the year of 2014, that the Valley View School Board of Education, the faculty and staff are extremely proud of Matthew and congratulate him on all of his accomplishments in the school district and in the community, and we wish that this outstanding young man nothing but the best in his post-secondary education and his full career and life, I might add. Thank you and congratulations, young man. With that, all you guys in the khaki shirts, since it's a school night and you got things to do, you can exit the building as you see fit. Unless, of course, you're getting civics merit badge points tonight, in which case, see me afterwards and I'll sign your paper. I figured they'd Whether all the Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts are getting out of the room. I don't think we have any Cub Scouts, actually, but all the Boy Scouts are leaving. Mr. Gusafi, if you would please prepare us for the Treasurer's Report.
Sure. Treasurer's Report, Action Report 5.1 for December 2013 is attached in your packet. It does include the usual bevy of reports along with the interim obligation payments totaling $3,574,044.96 for your approval and action.
Motion to approve Treasurer's Report.
So moved. Second.
Motion and seconded. Is there any discussion? If not, roll call vote, please. Go ahead. Madam Clerk.
Member Venegas,
Yes.
Member Campbell,
Yes.
Member Sikora,
Yes.
Member Felice,
Yes.
Secretary Hansen,
Yes.
Vice President Gugis,
Yes.
President Quigley.
Yes. You want me to talk real slow, Jim? We can wait for.
I'm struggling, but I think I can
Here
do
we
it.
go. Moving down the agenda, Gary, if you would, schedule bills.
Yes, Treasurer's Action Report 5.2 is a schedule of bills for January of 2014, totaling $1,640,830.97 for your approval and action.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Member Venegas?
Yes.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Sikora?
Yes.
Member Felice?
Yes.
Secretary Hansen?
Yes.
Vice President Gugis?
Yes.
And President Quigley.
Yes.
We have also included the summary of investments, property taxes received, state funding update, and the school trust account activity as a typical for each month. If you have any questions, be happy to answer them at this time.
Any questions? We're still $4.2 million behind in our state payments,
Yep,
which is
each
typical by
month.
this time of the year.
Each month, we add a month, so we are now 3 full months behind in our categorical funding.
3 full months or 4?
3.
3 full months, thank you. Moving down the agenda, motion consent agenda, Dr. Mitchum.
All right.
Mr. President, I would like to ask the board to approve consent agenda items 6.1 through 6.6, 6.1 board meeting minutes December 9th, 2013, 6.2 executive session meeting minutes December 9th, 2013, 6.3 trips for Bolingbrook High School, 6.4 gifts for Irene King and R.C. Hill Elementary Schools, 6.5 2012-2013 audit report, and 6.6 student activity contract for Irene King Elementary School, Little Caesars Pizza.
Motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Member Venegas?
Yes.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Sikora?
Yes.
Member Felice?
Yes.
Secretary Hansen?
Yes.
Vice President Gugis?
Yes.
President Quigley.
Yes. Pillars of Valley View. First up is Ms. Killingsworth and Member Felice.
Good evening, Valley View School Board, senior leadership, and Valley View School community. Pioneer Elementary School is extremely excited to recognize our pillar of Valley View, Mrs. Linda Salazar. Mrs. Salazar works as a paraprofessional in our building. She puts forth extra effort and comes in extra early hours before and after school each day to help teachers prepare for instruction, to tutor our students with academic needs, and to help several building committees with plans for after-school events. Mrs. Salazar is a member of our Rising Star ULT team and contributes to the success of our building in so many other ways. Mrs. Salazar has been a resident of Bolingbrook for 35 years and an employee of VVSD for 22 years. During her time in Bolingbrook, she has been involved in several community-based organizations that reach out to those who need a loving and caring hand. Along with making a way for children to have warm clothing and adequate food, Mrs. Salazar recently assisted our PTO with a fundraising drive to supply holiday pies for 2 local food pantries. We congratulate Mrs. Salazar, a pillar of Valley View, and thank her for the wonderful things she is accomplishing for Pioneer Elementary School and for the residents of the Pioneer and Romeoville community. Great job, Mrs. Salazar, and thank you.
Next up, Vito Martinez, Ms. Donato. Oh, Member Venegas. Correct whip.
Actually, no, Member Sikora.
Oh, there we go. Well,
Thank you, sir.
I'm just reading what's on the paper, bud. They cut their own deal.
Good evening, board members, senior leadership, members of the community, students, parents, and faculty. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Mr. Ryan Snowden, our AVM band director and pillar of Valley View. Mr. Snowden maintains one of the most sought-out, popular programs in our building. Students arrive to AVM with little to no experience playing a musical instrument, and after 3 short years, he has them fully prepared to participate in the high school marching band. Through his passion, he teaches a love for music, whether that be classical Mozart or Ozzy Osbourne's Crazy Train. They did a great job. It was in one of the Romeoville parades. Mr. Snowden is revered by countless families due to his dedication to his students and his confidence that he instills in them. His humor, wit, and humility cannot be forgotten either. It is a privilege to have Mr. Snowden on the staff at AVM, and we are proud to honor him this evening as a pillar of Valley View.
And it should be noted that the band guys work a lot in the summer too, with the parades and all the other stuff that they do. They should be acknowledged for that. Next up, Principal White. And Secretary Hansen.
Mom, you did it.
Good evening, members of the board and public. I'm Nancy Drosch, and I am here to nominate, introduce Marge Pandu as the pillar of Valley View for the Nutrition Service Department at Bolingbrook High School. Bolingbrook High School is happy to recommend Marge from our Nutrition Service Department as a pillar of Valley View. She is a perfect example of a 5-star employee. Margaret does her job to do the best of her ability each and every day. Margaret completes her tasks efficiently and with minimal direction. She comes in early if needed and always helps her fellow students if needed. Everyone in the Nutrition Service Department feels that Marge is an exceptional employee. Marge and her husband Joseph have 2 beautiful daughters, Erin and Lauren. In her spare time, Marge enjoys spending time with her family and crafting. Thank you, Marge, for all your hard work.
Mr. Kinder, if you would please. And Member Campbell.
All right, good evening, President Quigley, Vice President Gugis, Secretary Hansen, members of the board, Dr. Mitchum, senior leadership, members of the audience, and members of the community. It gives me great pleasure that we recognize Mr. Ruben Moore as a pillar of Valley View. For the past 7 years, Ruben has dedicated himself to the safety and security of all students and staff at RHS through his role as a member of the RHS security team. Ruben always greets students, staff, and visitors positively and continuously communicates high expectations in regards to safety and appropriate behavior. His interaction with these individuals he serves is always friendly and informative. Ruben is insightful, resourceful, dependable, honest, and passionate about ensuring young adults are making good decisions and being successful. Ruben is actively involved in our students' lives by showing his support by attending sporting events, plays, musicals, and just about anything our students are involved with. We're extremely fortunate to have Ruben Moore as a member of our security team and are delighted to recognize him as a pillar of Valley View. And something that Ruben tells me every day I see him at Romeoville, he just says, just keeping these rookies in line. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ruben Moore.
And he travels heavy.
Congratulations, Ruben. And I'd also like to recognize that Ruben's wife is in the audience, his son, and I did get to meet his grandson that he always talks so much about back there. Please stand up as well.
Oh, might as well stay there. You're up.
got it.
Bring it on, Illinois State Scholars.
All right, good evening once again. On behalf of the Valley View School Board, Romeoville High School, we'll wait till they enter in. They were in the bullpen. We got to call in for our best.
All pass.
Our best. Out of the bullpen.
Well, see, that gives me time to tell a Reuben story. So I go to Romeoville High School. There was like 300 cars in the parking lot. And I park my car, and I go inside, and I'm there like 30 minutes. And he walks up to me, and he tells me the model and make of my car, and he says, I knew that there was somebody in the building who is not normally here. You didn't have the right sticker, the right pass. Sir, the dedication that you put into your job is, makes me feel safe to send my kids there. So I appreciate it a great deal, sir.
All right. Principal Kinder, please.
All right. On behalf of the Valley View School Board, Romeoville High School would like to recognize these. We have 7 students of our 23 recognized Illinois State Scholars. I'm going to talk a little bit about what being an Illinois State Scholar is, but of the 23 students that we have, obviously all of these students are very involved in different clubs and activities, and we do have the luxury of having 7 of them with us here this evening. But with that being said, Romeoville High School would like to recognize those students here that have been recently named Illinois State Scholars by the Illinois Students Assistance Commission. The selection of this prestigious award is based on the student academic performance after the completion of 6 academic semesters and their achievement on their standardized test scores. Romeoville High School is pleased to recognize these students along with their teachers, their parents, and the staff at Romeoville High School. So just one, before we start calling off team names, I'd just like to recognize their parents and also the staff at Romeoville High School that got these students to where they are. The first recognition goes to Mary Ford. Next, we have Adam Irvine. Next, Emily Nurchek. Next, David Saavedra. Jessica Vasquez. Alicia Vitale. And fresh from wrestling practice, Seth Wilhoit. Congratulations.
Mr. Adam Hill would like me to point out that at least one of you is on Pioneer Indoor, his drum corps, is that correct? Oh, there she is. There's your hand. He says congratulations.
Moving down the agenda, liaison reports, any and all, please, starting my right.
Yes, I have one. The Finance Committee obviously has reviewed the district's audit, and it was a strong audit, and we came out looking very good. However, there was the same area of concern that we've had for multiple years, and that would be with the student activity funds. I'm just hoping that we can just make sure that, I guess I'm frustrated that we haven't got our arms fully wrapped around this yet. Now, fortunately, we haven't had any incidents, but I just want to make sure that we follow up on their recommendations. And during the audit, the student activities funds were performed There was a test at 6 individual schools. The district's cash deposit forms for these student activity funds were not consistently signed by the activity fund sponsors, and expenditures testing revealed incidents of insufficient documentation. Now, they looked at it, everything was fine, but our procedures continue, in some cases, to not be followed. So the recommendation was we recommend the district continue to improve controls and monitor in the area of student activities. We also recommend the district develop a written fraud policy addressing the misappropriation of funds and consequences for violating that policy. In addition, it said the district is required to have a system of internal controls in place, the objective of which is to prevent losses, fraud, employee error. Consequences of the employee's actions would depend on the magnitude of each violation. Each individual action will need to be reviewed. So I guess what I'm asking is that we follow the recommendation, develop a written fraud policy, make sure that gets up here, and that any of the minor issues that happen, that those get reviewed and are dealt with appropriately. So there was no fraud, there was just incidents where we did not follow the process. I think some of the common ones are, what are some of the common ones here? Maybe I'll ask you to.
Lack of signatures on the when funds are handed in, receipts might not be generated, or a deposit slip is not again given to that sponsor. That's probably the most common one that we struggle to meet in every transaction that's handled.
Can you explain what the student activity funds are?
Sure, those are funds that are handled by the school administration. Primarily, one of our executive secretaries would handle that, the daily transactions, and all of the cash that would come into a building for any type of fundraiser or activities, whether they be sports or clubs, would come into the school and be handled directly at the front counter. All of those accounts are balanced every month. The board receives a complete accounting, both the ins and outs, if you will, for each of the accounts, and there may be as many as 20 to 50 if you get into the high school, middle schools and high schools. And so they are balanced every month, reconciled with the checking account, if you will. And so, again, there's a lot of transactions that happen on a daily basis across 21 campuses, as you might imagine. And we continue to provide professional development, training, resource for our staff in that regard to make sure we don't have a fraud incident. And we've been very fortunate that we've got some very good, strong, knowledgeable staff working. But again, with the volume of transactions that are handled in all of our buildings, there are occasions where things are missed, and so thus the citation. But we continue to look for perfection, if you will. And hopefully one day we will get there where we won't have any citations in that regard.
Thank you. Any other?
Yes.
From the right to the left.
The calendar committee, as you know, we did not accept the calendar the last board meeting. We met last week for about 2 hours. The whole calendar committee came up with a new calendar that I believe will be presented at the next board meeting for your exception.
With regards to Wilco, we have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow. At our last couple of meetings, we did recognize 7 students of the month. All 7 are from Romeoville High School. Congratulations to Principal Kinder and his staff. For November, Anthony Lamb, Anna Oliveras, and Hugo Martinez were students of the month in various educational groups there. And then in December, Emily Dreyer, Armani Bonilla, and Kano Rodrigo, and Veronica Gonzalez for December. And I see Principal Kinder laughing, so I'm sure I butchered a couple of those names. So please apologize to those if they hear it and to their parents, but I wanted to recognize them and congratulate them on their hard work at Wilco. So congratulations.
Real briefly, there was a meeting this evening at 4 o'clock on the Bolingbrook High School efforts in the band department and, well, not just band department, but to raise money for the band shell. They have currently in or committed approximately $38,000 of the $110 needed. I think Amy Rupsis and Diane Perro should be commended, and they are going to continue to work on that. Great job, ladies. I know you're not here, but I was very pleased to find out what that is. We need more community buy-in, more businesses, and so on and so forth. But they're putting a dent in that number, and I think if they can get a little further down the road, they'll be able to start the process of contracting, going out to bid and so on and so forth, see what the actual final price will be. But again, please help out if you can and pass that along to local businesses. If you call Diane or email Diane, she will get you more than enough information that you can make a nice little contribution. So thank you very much for their efforts. Moving down the agenda, audience participation. Anybody who wishes to address the board this evening? Seeing none, moving down. Action reports. Dr. Mitchum.
Yes, Mr. President, I ask that the that the board approve student due process cases A through J as presented.
Motion?
So moved.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. Roll call vote, please.
Member Venegas?
Yes.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Sikora?
Yes.
Member Felice?
Yes.
Secretary Hansen?
Yes.
Vice President Gugis?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yes. Ms. Kinder?
No report this evening.
Thank you. Mr. Grizafi?
First action this evening is a recommendation to approve the consulting services agreement with JAR Consulting of Springfield for the 2014 calendar year in the amount of $3,000 per month. This is the same contract that we've had over the past 3 years. And what this contract covers is really all the lobbyist efforts that we need down in Springfield on our behalf, with the continued financial strains that we find ourselves in, particularly as it relates to state funding. Having a lobbyist on our side is most useful. We are pursuing some rather large grant opportunities that certainly having someone down in Springfield should pay dividends in the long run.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Member Venegas?
Yes.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Sikora?
Yes.
Member Felice?
Yes.
Secretary Hansen?
Yes.
Vice President Gugis?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yes.
12.2 is a recommendation for a vehicle replacement purchase. We are replacing a 1997 pickup that we're using for plowing services to be replaced with a 2014 Ford F-250. We're taking the low bid from Curry Motors in Frankfort, Illinois, for a total amount of $34,268.
So moved.
Second.
Motion seconded. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Member Venegas?
Yes.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Sikora?
Yes.
Member Felice?
Yes.
Secretary Hansen?
Yes.
Vice President Gugis?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yes. Next on the agenda, Ms. Hawks, if you would please.
Thank you, President Quigley. Action Report 13.1 this evening, Consolidated Action Report for Certified and Classified Personnel. We're seeking your approval on 17 items for certified personnel and 40 items for classified personnel.
So move.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. Roll call vote, please.
Member Venegas?
Yes.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Sikora?
Yes.
Member Felice?
Yes.
Secretary Hansen?
Yes.
Vice President Gugis?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yes.
Action Report 13.2, Resolution Number 1471. We're seeking your recommendation, your approval on authorizing the dismissal of educational support personnel employees for reasons other than reduction in force.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. Roll call vote, please.
Member Venegas?
Yes.
Member Campbell?
Yes.
Member Sikora?
Yes.
Member Felice?
Yes.
Secretary Hansen?
Yes.
Vice President Gugis?
Yes.
President Quigley?
Yes. Information reports. Dr. Mitchum.
No report this evening.
Thank you. Legal Services. Cynthia Hansen.
No report.
I do have a question for our legal service report. Can Tressler provide the board with an update on the changes? There was quite a few changes that affect Illinois schools and the new laws. Can you get with our administration and make sure we're in compliance with all those changes? I mean, there was even some that were very detailed in certain aspects of our curriculum. Can you follow up with the administration and
Certainly.
give us something that lets us know that we're...
Certainly will.
Thank you.
Thank you. AFT report. Apparently no report. Valley View Council. No report. Thank you. Valley View Office Personnel Council. No report. Thank you. Any old business to come before the board this evening? Any new business to come before the board this evening? Any questions from the public on actions we have taken this evening? Please state your name and where you are from.
Good evening. My name is Norman Brown. I'm a resident of Bolingbrook. My question concerns zero tolerance policies. As you may be aware, U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder and the Obama administration issued new guidelines to address what they believe are overzealous, uneven enforcement of zero tolerance policies. What I would like to know in three parts is, one, whether or not you have had a chance to look at that policy, and two, if what is going to be the impact of this new policy, and three, what data do you have to show that your ministering or enforcement is in fact even-handed and not overzealous?
Thank you for those questions. They're greatly appreciated. I have had the opportunity to review that policy in detail. In fact, I have 24 copies of it on my desk as we speak. Just last week, I've convened a committee of deans and assistant principals for the purpose of excuse me, reviewing our discipline policies district-wide from all 5 middle schools and both high schools. I am in agreement with you that zero tolerance policies do not serve the best interests of kids. Valley View already has a pretty comprehensive alternative to suspension program in place, yet even with that program in place, given the magnitude of the changes to discipline procedures, particularly in the Chicago Public Schools, which the data indicates have the most stringent zero tolerance policies, but yet continue to struggle with attendance and academic performance, which is the basis for why the Education Department has indicated that we need to look at different ways in which to support our kids' needs outside of those areas in which it requires an expulsion. So I appreciate the questions. We are proactively looking at that. In fact, we have another meeting scheduled in the next week or two. We will have monthly standing meetings, and obviously if now that you're at the podium, it has provoked thought that if there are people within the community that would like to join that committee, you're more than welcome. And so if you'd like to, please see my secretary and we will provide you with the dates, and you're more than welcome to serve on that committee. Okay. Now, my last question, what data do you have to support that you have been even-handed in your approach and not overzealous? That is a national phenomenon. And Valley View is really no different than any other district as it relates to the overall percentage of students as defined by a particular demographic group. So what we do is we look at the percentage of black students in our district, Hispanic students, white students, Asian students, etc. And then we compare that to the percentage of those students that we actually suspend or expel. And we, like any other district, unfortunately, have a growth to make as it applies to the percentage of particular kids in subgroups benchmarked against the percentage of kids that we suspend and expel. Now, we are not anywhere near the data that was presented in that report. For example, in Chicago, 89 to 90% of the children that they suspend and expel are African American, even though that's a far greater percentage in the total population in the Chicago Public Schools of African Americans. But we do have a disparity between our percentage of students in our particular demographic groups and the rate in which we expel and suspend them, which is the very reason why this committee is being convened, so that we don't fall within the parameters of that phenomenon that indicate that schools are expelling and suspending minority kids at a greater rate than they should be.
Right, and I think that's what this guideline is all about, to address that issue, whether a phenomenon or not. But is this information currently public on your website, or is it really available for view?
No, and we are in the process of collecting that data for the committee so that we can have the specifics as it relates to the percentages of each demographics group by school and by our district, and the percent in which we are suspending and expelling them. But we have that data, I just don't have that data at my fingertips.
Okay. And I will check with the secretary and be part of that committee.
So,
Thank you.
Sir, in addition,
Very welcome.
In addition to the problems with discrimination with the zero tolerance policy, one other problem with a zero tolerance policy at times is that it lacks common sense. So, for instance, you may see on TV from time to time that a child is kicked out of school for, let's say, for instance, they brought a knife to school. The knife happens to be a pumpkin carving knife that's orange and shaped like a pumpkin, while officially called a knife. And a zero tolerance policy would mean that you have to kick that child out. Our district currently takes recommendations. So anytime there's a quote weapon of any type, we take recommendations from building leadership as to what happened in that situation, and then the school board determines, generally following that recommendation on what to do. But that prevents some of the silliness that comes with zero tolerance. Of, they brought a water gun and they got kicked out of school for 2 years. So.
Well, my attitude about zero tolerance, and I'm not naive enough to not know that, one size does not fit all. But at the same time, and I think Dr. Mitchell pointed this fact out, that there is some disparity, and this whole effort is to remove that disparity, to be more even-handed and have some logic behind it, as opposed to zero tolerance, which, as far as I'm concerned, is a cop-out. In terms of, there is no investigation, there is nothing else said, here's the infraction, you're out of here. And when that happens, I think it sends the wrong message to the student. And I think also at the same time, it takes the student out of the system, out of a learning environment, and if that student does do better in that alternative surrounding and then come back to school, I can tell you they're behind, which is another problem.
I would say Dr. Mitchum has been really ahead of the curve on this, and his therapeutic response, alternative to suspension. I will reckon it back to a story that he often tells, that I will give him credit for. If his mother said he doesn't want to eat beets, and she'll send him to his room if he doesn't eat the beets, but he likes going to his room, then he doesn't eat the beets. It's kind of like if a kid skips school, and we kick them out because they skipped school, we did not cause any benefit in that case. So Dr. Mitchum's really been far ahead of even this report and his work on that. So I'm really excited as where our district is positioned in terms of that.
Okay. Well, I hope to be involved.
Thank you.
So I'll talk
Thank
to
you. She will get your information.
Moving down the agenda, any announcements by the board?
I just have one. Congratulations and thanks to the Transportation Department and the maintenance staff for getting the schools back up and ready after this polar, whatever they want to call it. It was just cold and the snow, so thanks and kudos to everybody. I don't think people really understand how much work was going in when all the kids were at home, and staff and administration was out there, and members of the maintenance and that were out there the day that the schools were closed for those 2 days and getting it ready. As well as thanks to the Transportation Department for getting cheerleaders home from Springfield on that lovely weekend that I just happened to be a part of. So thanks to, special thanks to Bolingbrook High School and to Brooks Middle School and their administration for being available and answering calls and doing whatever it takes for to ensure the safety. And thanks to Dr. Mitchum for also getting involved on a Sunday afternoon and a Sunday evening and a Monday morning and a Monday afternoon and a Monday evening and so forth. So, but it was greatly appreciated, and all those efforts do not go unnoticed. So thank you.
Anyone else?
President, quickly, are we looking at a date for the board retreat?
Did we get information back from the other members?
I have that information on my desk. I received it today, so I can give it to you for
Can you send
dates.
it out? Yeah,
Sure.
let everybody know. Thank
Sure.
you. There you go.
I also want to thank all of our staff that participated in making the schools available to kids. Especially, I saw a great picture of one of our principals, Principal Paskevich, out there with a snowblower, taking care of some of the vacant homes and the sidewalks in front of those. So, great job there.
He's from Montana. This is nothing to him. I think he was in shorts and a sock hat. That's it.
He did not have a hat on. I do recall that.
See, there you go. I do want to acknowledge, they talk about, the cold and what have you, and I think Dr. Mitchum got an email or a phone call from one parent who was concerned about, why the kids couldn't have school and so on and so forth. Well, my response is twofold. Number one, we have 9,000 kids who walk and 9,000 kids who get on a bus. Getting buses started when it's -14 with the wind chill of -45, probably not so easy. I'm not in the transportation department, but I'm sure there's some of those that probably didn't want to turn over very well. I didn't want to turn over and get out of bed very well when it's that cold.
I know 2 of them didn't want to start in Springfield.
There you go. The other side of it is we don't all have high school kids in school. We have little people with short legs who have to trudge through some of the snow when it's very cold, and they have to walk up to a mile or even beyond for some of them. In my opinion, and I think Jim called me on Friday and said, we're considering doing this. And that's why the notifications went out ahead of time, so people did have time to probably secure it. I have a good friend whose family was up in Wisconsin skiing, and they said, really? Because we really don't want to come home. We just want to spend Sunday night up here and ski again on Monday. I said, well, I'm pretty sure you could probably stay up there. But kudos to the staff across the board for their efforts. And if we have these situations, that's why it's the worst cold we've had in many, many, many years. I think 22 years, they said, something along those lines. All I know is it was cold. So thank you all that do what you do, and we certainly appreciate your efforts. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
You always skip announcements by administration.
Any announcements by the public? Oh, administration, I'm sorry.
Never mind.
You got anything?
I just wanted to thank all the administrators in the audience for coming out here on Monday nights. I know that it's an expectation, but to see those faces out there still, I want you to know that it's appreciated, and it's important, so thank you.
Announcements by the public, since I jumped over a couple things. Seeing none, hearing none. Now I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Go ahead. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Motion and second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. We stand adjourned. Have a great evening.